Let me elaborate the context of why the idea of Annapurna abundance, as I said in the previous segment, and Annapurna pluriversities might be needed is that in my analysis and several other people's analysis, since 2020, after the eruption of coronaviruses, we have entered a new epoch, not necessarily the Anthropocene epoch, but an epoch where the biosphere, the Mother Earth, is directly, without any doubt, telling us, don't do this, and you should be doing this instead. Otherwise, biosphere and Mother Earth will continue to do what they need to do to clean up themselves, and we humans have a choice. Either we have to regenerate those life systems, or we will degenerate by default. We will just degenerate if we don't regenerate. So that is due to a kind of diagnostic framework I have developed. I call that the combined climate coronaviruses disruptions, as you see in this slide. So, as we, probably 300 years ago, when the mercantile capitalism and industrial technological system began to dominate the earthly processes, natural processes, to create a certain kind of, accumulate certain kind of material wealth and material things like cements and buildings and bridges and all that. And then by 78, we thought, 1987, we thought, oh, maybe it's getting too much, so maybe we need to sustain. But at this point, there is nothing to sustain. What is there to sustain? The water is going away, the soil has been disrupted, soil is no longer fertile. We have caused extinction of species, fellow birds and fellow earthworms, and the extinction rate is so vast, and you can read all that literature. So at this point, what we recognize is that this climate and the coronavirus disruptions have three ways of looking at it. One is it's a wake-up call, if we know to be awake and recreate or redesign our life ways, go to a different path. Also, it is a crisis multiplier, right? The floods, the wildfires, the decreasing of soil fertility, and then by 2045, people are saying that we might be only able to produce 40% of the grain and food that we have now. All these predictions are there, right? So, at the root cause of it looks like that up to now, last 500, 350 years ago, we thought that the human was supreme. Everything should be serving human, right? That the human is the God-given, God-empowered species being which has control over, and we can find that in biblical and all this, but not in the Vedas. Vedas were already telling us what is the proper role of human as the cultivator, as the householder, right? So that's why the Annapurna abundance might now be very, very useful. So we need to now think that the life is supreme, not a human is supreme. And human is okay as long as the human activities and our choices do not disrupt the life processes. We have to enhance life. And here we can see, right, not human is supreme, but regenerate waves of life, right? Life is supreme and not human is supreme. All species is supreme. And for that, a new curriculum is needed to regenerate. And what are the things to regenerate? First of all is carbon, soil, water, climate, waves. They are one single entity. We need the carbon in the soil, then the water and moisture will be there, then it will regulate the climate, and I will explain that. And then you might also look at Sadhguru's the shape soil. He explains that very nicely also, but I will also explain that in different segment. Then the soil, food, health, waves are important, because it's not that we eat the crop, which are healthy, that is okay. But it depends on what those crops, the plants, were eating. Because if they were eating wrong things and bad toxic things, then we will be having bad health. So we need to look at soil food health waves. Then also now we are finding that the climate is regulated a lot by forest floor, forest canopy and forest floor. And there is a lot of research coming now called wood wide waves, and that has to be intact also. That cannot be disrupted. Then we need to begin to think about not only water but watersheds, the well-being of the watershed, then food shade, where our food comes from, then fiber shade, where our clothing comes from, and is that beneficial to the earthly processes or that is harmful to the earthly processes. Then energy shade, even about energy, fossil fuel or hydro or solar or wind, we need to create that economy. So as Arundhati Roy from India said right in the beginning of the pandemic of coronavirus, the pandemic is a portal, a gateway between one world and the next. And we are exactly at that point. Are we going to find and follow the pathway of regeneration, or the climate and coronaviruses are telling us clearly, 500% clarity, this pathway is going to degenerate the human life and the earth life also. So we have a thin chance right at this point of regenerating those vitals, as I explained there in this, and I will be doing in more other segments. We are at that precise point of either going the same direction and going to degenerate, like as if we say, like the sheep fall off the cliff, right? Or we can really articulate, expand, deepen another path of life, regenerating life path, creating a livelihood like that, creating a learning curriculum for that, and creating a leadership, stewardship, care structure for that. That's what Annapurna Pluriversities and the idea of Annapurna Abundance seek to achieve, that in the new generation, articulating and practicing the other way of being that is friendly and beneficial to the biosphere.